another phenomenon entirely. A single day cannot be generalized as a concept because the only concept is the spiky pumpkin. It is reality.
Wow. Okay, so you want to get the camera going or what?
This is live.
Oh God! Well, tonight we're going to explore some famous Greek tragedies with an assortment of special guests. We will receive some great advice from Jason and Antigone, have our fortunes revealed by two famous fortune tellers, and explore a book written by a former Theban ruler, as well as exploring Medea's timeless passion for the culinary arts. Yes, you sure are in for a thrill tonight, just like every night on the Pumpkin Pat and Louise ship. I'm Pat, and I'm Louise. Shut up.
The spiky pumpkin would like to see the first guest, and oh yes, they will be delicious.
Now we are going to give Ismene with the weekly letters.
Remember last week when we told you that your letters would be read by the famous feminist icon Antigone and outspoken sexism advocate Jason? Well, that day has finally come. Please welcome Antigone and Jason to the show. So how are you both? I'm very well, thank you.
You're just a woman.
Okay, let's move on to the questions then. Our first question comes from Felicia Diggins in Omaha, Nebraska. She writes, "There's this guy that I like a lot, but even though I try to get him to notice me, he doesn't seem to know I exist."
Perhaps the reason he hasn't noticed you is that you've been too shy about talking to him. You are a strong, beautiful, independent woman, and if you want to, you can just go out there and tell him how you feel.
Okay, no, that's really stupid. You can't just take charge because women don't take charge, okay? Duh. So that won't work, unless you're really a guy named Felicia who likes other guys. The letter doesn't give me enough information to discount that possibility. Let's just assume you're a woman, though, okay? Maybe the reason this guy hasn't noticed you is because he doesn't like you, okay? So maybe that's because you're really, really ugly, okay? Or maybe your mouth hangs open when you're not thinking about it, and it looks really dumb, okay? Or maybe you have a really irritating voice, or an annoying habit, like, okay, just for an example, suppose you say one word way too many times. So those are just some things to think about, okay?
Well, that was very sexist and horrible.
Well, no, I'm not. So there.
Our next question is from Milton Johnson in Omaha, Nebraska. He writes, "I am having difficulties with my marriage. Shall we say, the spark has gone out, the fire has died down, the avocado has turned brown, the orange has become somewhat moldy, the regime is a bit repressive, the trail is going cold, and the air has become rather stale. What should I do?"
If I may, that question is a little off topic. You brought up a lot of separate issues there, so I'll just deal with them one by one. For the marriage, Milton, I would marry a younger woman and kill the children. That usually works out all right. For the fire, use some wood to make a spark, or just use matches, okay? Squirt some lemon juice on the avocado to preserve it longer, and I think I'll throw the orange.
Okay, but the question is a little bit annoying, okay? So I might just have to tear out your throat, okay? So just stop it, okay?
I don't make fun of the way you do.
There are a lot of acceptable synonyms. You could use alright, for example. That's a very good one. There are well over 600,000 words in the English language, so there's room for you to mix them just a little bit every now and then.
Okay.
No!
All right.
Now then, Milton, for the marriage, I would just try to talk things out with your spouse. Oh, and before you get too invested in this marriage, make absolutely positive you didn't marry your mother by mistake. That's been a big problem in our family.
Yeah.
Hey, I bet your family isn't exactly perfect either, so let's not get all judgy.
Our next question comes from Megan Woods in Redding, California. She writes,
If you are keeping the four-wheel drum system, you do not need to convert to a dual master. The concern is that if you lose one line, all breaking will go. The solution is stainless steel lines. They will never rust or deteriorate. When converting to a dual master, you will need a new master cylinder line, a distribution block that will accept the new master cylinder line, and additional clips to keep the new lines in place. When you are all done, you can affect the performance of your brakes by braking safely with new lines from inline to
I was going to say all that. She interrupted me. I would also be living with a tube.
Our final question comes from Rachel Smith, who is definitely a real person and lives in England. She writes, Jason, you are a strong, powerful, beautiful man, and I really want to know you better. We should meet sometime. Or you can call me at this number.
Yeah, no. I really don't like Melissa's handwriting. Good try. Really.
You are going to call this number?
They will be dead by midnight.
Today we are going to meet another guest who has had his life racked with scandal and used the experience for personal gain. Creon, the former ruler of Thebes, has written a book about the largely self-inflicted family tragedy he went through, entitled It's Not Easy Being King, or About Whiny Little Creature, Antigone Ruined Everything I Love. Mr. Creon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
There's a meaningless question with questions, but Louise, how are you?
Fine, thanks, and how are you?
I'm fine. Now, Creon, can I call you Creon?
Cousin, that'll be fine.
Now, Creon, just reading your book, it sort of seems like the whole debacle with Antigone killing herself, and your son Haman killing himself, and your wife Euripides killing herself, was really your own fault for being so ridiculous about the whole marriage. Now, my question to you is, don't you feel a little guilty for essentially murdering your entire family?
I don't understand your question.
Okay. Well, it just seems to the casual reader like your own lust for personal power led to your downfall and, worse, killed several innocent people whom you love dearly. So you see what you've done.
Are you insinuating something?
Maybe I should have asked. If you could relive the whole awful scandal again, knowing what you know today, what would you do differently?
I'm very glad you asked that question. You see, I devote a whole chapter of my book to this. You see, chapter 152. You should have wrung her decent neck the moment I saw her. But the thing is, since I've written this, I've had, how do you say, a change of heart. You see, death is too good for Antigone. What you should have done is, after I cut off all her limbs, I should wrap her box filled with scorpions that are just venomous enough to make her pray for her dear life, yet not venomous enough to kill her outright. Then after about a day or so,
I can just interrupt you there. Doesn't it seem like you're simply trying to assuage your own tremendous guilt by vilifying Antigone?
What are you asking?
So you think everything that happened was Antigone's fault?
Do I ever? The only punishment for crime like that is being vilified!
That's not all the time we have for today, so...
we still have 40 minutes left.
Yep, that's all we have time for. My guest has been Creon, author of It's Not Easy Being King, or How That Whiny Little Creature, Antigone, Ruined Everything I Love. Mr. Creon, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With our next guests, I foresee an enlightening and entertaining interview. Please welcome two fine fortune tellers, Perseus and the Soothsayer. fortune teller and all.
I knew you were going to say that. Well, it's a tough life. Obviously, I can see things that I myself will do in the future. So, problems occur when I look into the future and see myself putting on my pants in the morning.